Good morning once again. The time is 11:17 and welcome to The Bottom Line. The Bottom Line right here on your number one for inspiring, touching and life-changing radio. I am your host for today, Tamani Daka. And today we're going to be discussing issues of importance, national matters, if you will. And of course, we get to the bottom line with different stakeholders in our country. So today, I have in studio with me the EEP president, Mr. Chilufya Tayali. My good sir, it is good to have you.
It's a pleasure being here, especially during this time of the risen Lord, Easter. I'm really glad to be here.
Okay, and how's the holiday been so far?
Well, so far I think it has been very good. I've had I spent a very good time with my family, so I'm quite happy.
I'm really glad to hear that. So without further ado, we can get into the gist of things, my good sir.
Yes.
You formed a political party. Yes. If I'm not mistaken, Economic and Equity Party?
Yes.
Economic
and Equity Party.
Exactly.
EEP.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I would want you to just describe for us the whole background of the party.
Yeah.
All things pertaining to its formation. Everything leading up to its formation.
Yes, exactly. And it's good that you ask because it gives me an opportunity to talk about my party and the vision. A number of people tend to say, you don't talk about your party. What is your vision? What is your manifesto? And so on and so forth. So, well, basically, Economic and Equity Party. You know, that name is not just a name. It says a lot about this party. And it carries the vision about, first of all, I would say about myself, because, I'm the dream carrier of this party. So, Economic and Equity, basically, from my point of view, what actually prompted me to get into politics, I never thought I would enter into politics, never at all. And I think if you had asked me, maybe 10 years ago to say you're going to be a politician, I would say, no, I don't want to be a politician. Because I really consider myself more of, I don't want to say a philanthropist, but I'm just a person that loves to share my life with others. And I think that is enough for me. If I can help one person in a day, I think that is good enough for me. But along the way, I found that, God was taking me in turns and caves, of life. I started, I thought, okay, since I love helping people, I like being with people, let me become a priest. I went to the seminary as a Catholic priest. And, 5 years down the line, I actually had to leave. And when I left, I came back into the country because I was outside, and I came back into the country and tried to do this and that, still within the church, which made it like 7 years trying to pursue that dream. Yeah. And finally, it's like God told me to say, no man, this is not your way. With the coming of my firstborn, who is now 20 years old. She just turned 20. So you see, I'm talking about 20 years back. So with the coming in of my firstborn child, a daughter, a lovely daughter, she's now at the university, I forgot now about priesthood. So I had to feed the family. I engaged myself into business. I was running a computer company called Chilufya Computer Solutions. We did very well in there, but that passion of trying to help was still with me. So I decided to form an NGO. With the money that I was making from my company, I started, this NGO called the Zambian Voice. But unfortunately, I don't think I anticipated the expense, the huge pressure that is in there to run an NGO. Most of the times when you think about NGOs, people think when you form an NGO, people will just be willingly come and give you donations and you'll be able to help.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, if there's somebody out there who is thinking that forming an NGO is that easy and you can run it, I can tell you that most of the NGOs, especially around this time, they're actually struggling, to sustain themselves. And I faced, with the issues of funding. It's really a big problem. At the moment, Zambia, at one point, especially when Zambia was considered as a middle income, so when it was considered as a middle income, most of the funding that was coming, because before there was that funding that was coming, so a lot of NGOs were thriving, were doing good. I mean, I do remember, when I was in school, though if they say somebody works for an NGO, you used to think they get money in dollars, No, gone are those days. NGOs are really, really struggling at the moment. So if you are looking into an NGO, you want to start an NGO and sustain it, you really have to think very seriously about the issues of finances. And I felt I had that problem. Yes, I was having money. My initial plan was that, with my company, I'll be able to sustain the NGO until such a time when people will be able to help us with funding. Unfortunately, the donor funding was waning. So we are entering into the NGO world when donor funding is actually waning as well. So I struggled, and this made me now to start interacting with politicians. Because the people that had money were the politicians. You see, the main donor funding, they didn't have the money. And the politician, because we were doing quite well with Zambian Voice, we had the influence. And a person with influence is usually, draws attraction from the politicians. So the politicians came around me and talked me into helping them. And this was in 2018, 2019, when, when did Sata die? Sata died, 2014, yes, exactly. In 2014, going into 2015, that election is what messed me up. Because the politicians came, that is Edgar Lungu's people, the Kaiza Zulus, they were like, no, help us, to win the election. And afterwards, when we cross, we'll be able to help you through government channels, through community development. They say, as an NGO, you can apply and we'll be able to give you. I had a dream, and which I hope I will be able to fulfill before I die.
Maybe not in politics.
Well, after politics, I will definitely do this. My dream is to open an orphanage, or not really so much of an orphanage, but a home where I can have children. I love children very much, and I want to have many children. So I want to have this big house, maybe 500 children. That is my dream. 500 children, taking them to school, giving them love, and so on and so forth. And that was my dream. And I tell you, my brother Kaiza Zulu, he was like, that is not a problem. We'll get you a big house, a farm, we'll get you the car. I was enticed, and I went into campaign. Thank God President Edgar Lungu won. Of course, I also like President Edgar Lungu, because for me, I looked at him as somebody that God has just chosen. Because Edgar Lungu never thought he would be president. But all of a sudden, it was like, it fell on his laps, that he should run for that. So I looked at it from two scenarios. One, the fact that I was looking at him to say, God had just chosen this man. And then secondly, I also needed, the help. So this what took me into politics. Unfortunately, when they won, PF, they never helped me as they promised me. They never, nothing. I'm telling you, when they just won the election, 2 weeks before, I kept on going back and forth to State House, see what, hoping that something will come up, nothing. The only thing that came close was to say, no, we can appoint you to go somewhere in diplomacy. I'm like, no, that's not what I wanted. I didn't want to get into diplomacy. I want to be here. So, and that's how it felt. But then, to be honest with you, I felt very upset. I'm like, really now, how do I go back to NGO? How do I go back to an NGO now? how do I go back to people and say, no, I'm apolitical when I have contaminated myself so much in politics? And I said, well, this is not it. So I think the best that I should do, these politicians, they lie to people. They lie. I felt it. I felt how people feel cheated and betrayed by politicians. And I said, you know what? I'm going to be the change that I want to be. I'm going to form a political party that will be truthful to the people and deliver on what they promise. That was the dawn of the Economic and Equity Party. And I felt so bad that, look, Zambia is a very rich country, and still today I still hold this position. Zambia is a very rich country. We have everything. From my analysis, I hope I'm not being naive, I think we have more than what Dubai has. Dubai has oil, but if you look at the land, it is all desert. All they have there is oil.
They found a way of utilizing their resources.
And now they're even making rain. They are making rain for themselves, you know. But for us, I believe we even have that oil. I believe we have mineral resources. We have the land, arable land, you know. And we have, you know, a big country. We have everything. This country is supposed to be rich. And I said, I mean, why is it that we are suffering like this when we are supposed to be okay? You know, and that is the economy part. I felt that Zambia is poor economically. And exactly. And I looked at, you know, a party that should address the issue of the economy. A party that can enhance all the natural resources that we have and make do with what we have as a country. And that is the economic. But for this to happen, if you harness the economy, and then this economy is just in the hands of a few, then it doesn't help much. Because some of the people, like even the current government, they emphasize so much of harnessing the economy, but they are businessmen. It is only for the few. Only for the few. But you see, a country should not be run as a business. It should have the social aspect where you take also those who are vulnerable. Yes, others that can be doing business, can be mining, for example. They are mining, and what they are getting out of there, it should be able to trickle down to the people that are not in mining, those who are vulnerable. And that is the equity part. Equity is not equality, but equity is giving to a person what they need. That is equity. Equity is giving to a person what they need.
So, yes, if I'm getting you right, so the equity and equality difference there would be equality is equal opportunities being provided. Equity is whatever is needed must be provided.
Exactly. Okay. Very good. You have said it right. You know, this is the beauty about young people. They grasp things very fast, and they come out. You have said it nicely. Yes. Equality is giving opportunities to everyone, right? But equity is giving to a person what they need. So in here, the two of us, I mean, if there are opportunities, we should be able to look at who needs what. I mean, somebody comes here, gives us 100 kwacha. I mean, certainly 100 kwacha for me, yes, I'm not rich, but at least I have a little bit more money. And you yourself, I mean, naturally, you are young and everything. You might need that 100 kwacha more than me. So I don't need to grab that 100 kwacha. Even if somebody gives it to me, I need to say, well, I think you can use it. So at a larger scale, we should be able, basically what we're looking at is that we harness the economy of the natural resources of this country and be able to distribute it to the poor, to those who are vulnerable. Not really so much the poor. Don't get me wrong there. It's not about poverty. A young person who is in the compound is failing to go to school, he has nothing, he's not poor. It is just that he has not been given something that he can do. But if you are given something, I mean, that person would be as good as anybody else. So basically, that is the name. It is the economic part. I feel that the economy of this country is not properly managed. And I feel that even those resources which are harnessed are in the hands of few people, basically the big guys, and mostly foreigners. mostly foreigners. So I have a motto which I say Zambia must be owned by Zambians. I mean, look at we can talk about many things. Look at the mines. I can tell you to say, show me one Zambian who owns, a mine. A big mine, not this Tutuma mine, remember Nama Shavel, at Yoniwa, small scale, whatever. No! We should be talking about the big mines being owned by Zambians, being in the hands of Zambians. That is my vision. Zambia must be owned by Zambians. Go into we have the wildlife, tourism. If you look at the Zambezi, we have the Zambezi River. Follows the Zambezi River, my dear sister, from where it starts up to where it ends, you will not find Zambians owning part of the Zambezi River banks and the animals that are around, because it is populated by foreigners. They are the ones who own these lodges and who have got these game reserves. Zambians are kuna. And somebody will tell you, to say, no, Zambians, they are poachers and whatever. No, they are poachers because they are hungry. They are hungry. That's why they poach. But if you give them opportunity, they will be able to manage. They will be able to look after, those animals. Wildlife. We can look after that. So, our economy is not in our hands. Talk about even farming. We have got so much land. But really, if you talk about the big farmers, we don't have one Zambian that you can talk about to say this one. We had Austin Chilala. Where is Austin Chilala? It is during the time of whatever. This time around, he's not there. Zambians are not there. Tuma Garden, Fetwa Mungan. So basically, the vision of Economic and Equity Party is just that, to harness the economy of this country. And that economy must be in the hands of Zambians. Otherwise, if we don't harness that, if Zambians don't own anything, Muzambia tukwata fyama rich, chapwa. Our citizenship and the benefits of being a Zambian is to have an NRC. Kwapwa. The land, you can't own land. Many Zambians, they don't even have land. And yet we have so much land, such that nama Kenyans at the same limit.
Okay, so now you have talked a lot about, just how much of the many challenges we are currently experiencing in this country. Hence the formation of
Economic and Equity Party.
What year was it launched?
We started the Economic and Equity Party in 2019.
Yes. Okay, in 2019.
Yeah.
So now, sir, you want to ensure the economic progress of the country.
Yes.
Or rather, economic development, but whilst achieving equity. So now, in these 4 years of existence, do you feel that your political party is headed in the right direction of fulfilling such a vision, and also being in the opposition?
Yeah.
Do you anticipate that you are capable of doing better than parties in previous regimes and the current regime?
Absolutely. I will answer that question that you have asked me. Do you think you can do better than what has been done before? Of course, I'm not one of those people who wants to be pessimistic or pessimistic to those who were there before, the previous governments. I think they contributed according to what they can, during their times. Wakaunda contributed, to the development of this country. We are not the same. Where we in 1964, we are not the same. MMD came in, also brought in its own. It did something different. PF, they have also done their part, and UPND. We are yet to see. So far, it's a little bit of a disaster. But from my point of view, as Economic and Equity Party, and as Chilufya Tayali, I strongly believe that we can do much better. Yes, previous governments have done their part, and we should congratulate them as such. But I strongly believe that we still have a lot to do, especially, I strongly emphasize this, getting back our country, economic independence. We need that. And I feel very bad now that when we are supposed to be fighting for that economic independence, this is why I talk so much, when I complain a lot with the current government, because I am there looking to say, we are supposed to rule ourselves. We're supposed to, run our economy. And I see that this government is opening up to foreigners to come and take our mines. Even those that did bad, in the past, like Vedanta, they ripped us off. But so when we saw Walungu chasing them away from KCM, we felt good to say, this is the way. And unfortunately, Walungu, these ones come and we hearing stories of bringing back Vedanta. And we hear Mopani, no, they are looking for foreigners. Oh, those foreigners who are there, no, let's give them concessions. And yet, we are poor. When we sell that copper, we should be able to get the money back into the country. And then I hear this government comes in and says, no, we're going to give them concessions for 5 years so that they can build the capacity to take more mine out. Now you see, mining or minerals are at depleting asset, isn't it? It finishes. So you give them a concession so that they can build capacity, so that they can take more. And they are taking outside. I mean, what reasoning is that? Instead of saying, no, guys, we're not getting anything now, I think we need to stop this. For me, if I were a president today, I tell you, the first thing that I would do is to say, hey, let's stop with the mining. Let's stop with the mining. Stop now. And then until
we cut off international investors.
We stop first and we say until we make sure that whatever mineral goes out, we get the money. That is, I'm telling you, I would say let's stop now until we come up with a mechanism that when our copper goes out, when our gold goes out, when our whatever lithium, sugilite goes out, we get the money. My sister, at the moment, we see trucks and trucks of these, carrying copper going out. Apatulela and apaso, apatutampire program. Na kumana 100, ale cross a border. Ale cross a border na copper is. But look at the money coming. Nothing. We don't have the money coming in.
But Mwalanda, we shut the sector down altogether temporarily. I know there's you're talking about issues of us benefiting as the Zambians,
yes.
But we're not. It's dissatisfactory, so to say.
Yes.
That we're shut down, even
yes.
with the little that we are getting. Don't you think that would jeopardize our economy?
My sister, you would rather you say stop now, such that the time that you start mining out, you are getting the most out of it. You are getting the most out of it. You would rather do that because still more to let you learn. Still more to let you learn. Chimona kwa wati, yes. If you want to chimona kwa wati yo, umuntu ati yo ndabomba atu labomba yo fola shinga ati yo fola 200 kwacha. Fola 200 kwacha. But 200 kwacha yo, transport ufire wali pila. If you have to balance if you balance. I mean, let me be realistic. Because this is a reality today. There are people who are getting, let's say, 1,000. There are people who are getting 1,000 kwacha. But imagine that 1,000 kwacha, and this person has to spend transport going for work on a daily basis, and most of them they're spending about 50 kwacha in a day. And 50 kwacha in a day, in a month, you're talking about in a week, you're talking about 250 for 5 days.
Yes.
250. Multiply that by 4 in a month, that is 1,000 kwacha. You know? Tatulalanda pafya kulia. I don't remember said that palanch ufidewa something. You know, budget that, the minimum that you can give that to say, ukuliafa tulie kofe na ngugu, wali wapa savage. Wali wapa savage. Ni 60 kwacha. So lunch 60 kwacha. In a day, multiply that in a week, that is 300. Multiply that in a month, that is 1,200. Taula ikata nomba tukwise wiso shite sakali ya wunga. Isakali ya wunga 200. Umunani. So, what are you making? Really, are you working? Are you making anything? You are not. But But of course somebody will come and tell you, oh, we make a fee, at least to for like 1,000 kwacha. But really, your job is making you more poorer because you have to supplement your sustenance. So it is making you poorer. It is the same thing na kopa yesu. Did I listen that copper? What we spend in them extracting our copper is much more than what we get out of it. It's much more. Because we have people that are working more money. They are becoming poor. They are some of those people that I'm talking about. There are people who are working the mines who are our for Lama 3P. And the 3P already from what I've calculated, if you look at it, it's not money. And so we have Zambian labor going to work and they are not getting what they're supposed to get. And apart from that, look at Misebo Shesuyue, Misebo, Lungwa Pangide Misebo. Because of these heavy trucks moving on our roads. And to make 1 kilometer of a road, you spend 1 million. But at the end of the day, are you getting the money? If you look at the money that we are getting, can we even make the roads? We can't. We can't. And yet copper, our minerals, should be able to actually make roads for us. During Welensiki, the mines were building roads. The mines were building infrastructure. Zimbabwe is more developed in terms of infrastructure than Zambia because it was the capital of, what is this, colonial time. It was the capital. So they were building. They built all that infrastructure using our copper. Number if we are failing to build out of our copper. Instead, we are going to borrow money from IMF. We are going to plead with IMF. No, give us money. And yet we are letting our minerals to go out. Trust me, our minerals can actually develop Zambia. Can actually, we don't need to borrow. We don't need to borrow. So if you understand that, we would rather stop and make sure that copper is, we get the value for the money. Value for the money. If you it just gets valuable.
So okay, there are a couple mining aside. Just to take it back, we have already seen clearly that so and these issues are of great concern to the average Zambian. So Kudimwe, as president of the EEP, what would you say is the cause of the shortages of maize, or rather maize meal, and also the increment in the prices of mini meal altogether?
Yes.
I'm seeing in some malls there's a restriction, push cafe,
even in the colonial days, it never happened. This is the first time that when you're going to buy a mini meal, ink is put on your nail. This is happening. They are putting ink on your nail so that you don't go back to buy another.
Would you mention some places?
In the Copper Belt. In the Copper Belt, I've seen, where people have sent me, these whatever. In the Copper Belt, it's highly happening, especially in the towns near the borders. It's really happening. Look, now, this, frankly speaking, when I say these things, sometimes people think that, no, these are realities. This problem that we have, it is a self-created problem. It is a policy gone wrong. A policy of a businessman. Because according to Waaka in the Ichinema, he puts business first. And Nachanda na perfect kulokobat. Ala, ichalo te tumuchisende kwati ni business yo. Ichalo mfilemo kwata social aspect. You must be above, the business aspect. So, when Waaka in the Ichinema, badi landa no kulandefi, tegnende landa finek. Ave ne badi landa, pa press conference. We have to open the borders to sell maize to the neighboring countries. That is a market. According to him, that is an opportunity. Opportunity to make money. One, niba businessman wena bala if mwana fenga to senda obunganga to apera na to senda mata watu na mkongo, it's money. Eva aka indejile is a businessman. Now, the social aspect, ufile watonto unkanya pakuteke chalo. No manga to show bunga wonse.
What happens to the locals?
What happens to the locals? Wakalienshi kulimumo infula yesu muno mu Zambia kulaba kumuyalokesha kumutayilokeshe. So usually, I mean, there's so many FFPANG. This is how God has made it that we balance off. You know, you find that sometimes the northern circuit has more maize than the southern circuit. Sometimes the southern circuit has then more maize, you know. So, but it balances off like that. Now, if you get maize, that is, if it is in the southern circuit where we had more maize, and you export it, how are you going to feed the people in the northern circuit? And this is a problem which we have now. But PF, we were actually complaining to say that PF mulesta sana mataba mwashita mataba mule onaula amataba katampashani uko onaula. We were blaming them like that. Abele wa ishleisa wa isesanga jamatala na yesula. We have a lot of stock. They opened the borders. The first, they sent a lot of maize stock to Kenya. And a lot of it has gone to Congo. And Congo, Congo tabalima. Congo jaba kwati lomba. Kuti mwatu alefya kuja mwatu tabefuta. You know, because tabalima, it's a big country with a lot of people. And so this has been going out. And the government has said, we will not close borders. Now what has happened in Kashianti? Just, I think last week, we had the minister coming up and saying, no, we are going to import mealie meal from South Africa. Now, if you go to South Africa, Uvunga South Africa, Walasangati, it's about 140, Kalaka 25 kg. It's about 140. So if they are going to bring it to Zambia, definitely going to be more expensive. So,
if we produce our
exactly. And when we had maize, we were selling it at 130. On average, we're talking about 200, because in other areas it's more than 200. In other areas, of course, it's about 180. But so on average, we're talking about 200 a bag of mealie meal.
I mean,
a situation which should never have been had this government listened, but they didn't.
You know, there's also issue. An argument would be the issues of subsidies at play during the previous regime, and then of course, you know, there were some changes even in that regard, even for this. Even in this regime. So now my question to you, Mr. President, would be, what would your ideal solution be in such a I think we're in a worst case scenario.
We are in the worst case scenario. And you know, look, if you think if you want to sort out a problem, don't you need to go to the root. You need to go to the root. And this government, let's start with, since these guys came into power, they have messed up the agriculture sector. Starting with the farmer input support. The farmer input support, when they came in 2022, it was a mess. You know that. I mean, so on and so forth. So, first of all, there was no fertilizer. There was no, the required farming input, especially fertilizer. So that is a big mistake. Mistake number one. And whether they like it or not, there was no fertilizer. And apart from that, the fertilizer that was there was also bought expensively. Here, 650 kwacha. It jumped to 1,050 kwacha. And so I know when I'm talking about these things. So I don't just come to radio stations or even on my page talk without, I talk about something that I'm sure of. It jumped to 1,050 kwacha. This time around, especially this year, it went to 1,200 a bag. So already you see the farming sector has been messed up. There is no fertilizer. Even the one that is there, it is expensive. So we have a challenge. The next thing is the marketing season. The marketing season, they brought the floor price of buying maize. The fertilizer was expensive, but in terms of they sold it cheaply. You see, they didn't give, so farmers did not get a return out of their investment. But apart from that, they opened it to the open market, for the private sector, if you could put that way. And of course, according to them, no, government should not be buying maize. It is the private sector that should be buying. Okay, if you're a businessman, new business kind business. But a government is there to protect people. It's not for government to do business. It is to protect people, to protect first of all our farmers. Because the government, if government buys at a reasonable price, because the cost, how much were the farmers spending? 50 kg. How much were they spending? That's how a government should work. If farmers spent, let's say, 100 kwacha to produce a 50 kg bag, how do you come back and say, no, 80 kwacha? It doesn't make sense because there's a loss.
Yeah.
You know, so you must take into consideration that floor price of government must consider the circumstances under which the farmer went through before they come up with a price. It's not to say, no, government, you want to support farmers. So you put it at that price and you buy as much as you can from the people, because that way you are empowering farmers. These guys, they made a loss. They made farmers make losses. Apart from that, now we go forward. Then they make losses. Then the private sector is also there. Buying the maize. Doing what? Exporting it. Borders are open. You see? So, at the end of the day number, 10 to Perogunga. Let's mill the mill. It is expensive. And it is not there. So, what we need to do, I've told you that the root cause of this is it starts with the messing up of the agriculture sector. So a government like who take of Westwawa Economic and Equity Party, EEP, Chilufya to remove Teko Mwana. What we will be talking about is to make sure that we make sure that people encourage people, put an incentive there. You know, mwamba no kula ya that nga walima feka 1 hectare shani tukesa shita for so much. You encourage people even before, you know, you say tukalima tukashita so much so that people eventually ngibata shani valima. If you have to borrow money at this point in time, I would rather, for me as Tayali, I would rather borrow money to invest in what?
But
farming.
We are already in debt and we keep on referring to the debts that we are incurring, and do you think that would be a solution in the situation that we're currently in?
My dear sister Temwani, yes. My dear sister Temwani, I just said if. Otherwise, we don't need to borrow. As far as I'm concerned, we don't need to borrow. We just need our natural resources. We just need our natural resources. If you don't do kanunga mwawa ge, ngatamuli wa ge tatu wakamia fueko. Influence fila kwa but iyo mkwa. Ka ikale ni uko na ma policies yenu and whatever na ifuto walaika na kopa yesu. And I'm telling you, people, we will find people to come and buy our copper. Look at, North Korea. North Korea, I mean, they don't have natural resources like we do. And they have sanctions and everything. But they survive. They even make powerful, weapons. How do they survive? So, some of these things, sanctions. Total nonsense. I'm telling you. So, in Congole, it is not part of me, really. For me, it is harnessing the resources of our country. That's it. That is my way of thinking. So, in that concession, for example, if I can speak concretely,
yes.
President Hakainde has given concessions to the mining sector, whereby they are not paying tax. I would rather she didn't masha taxes. But now, guys, first, before she can pay a concession, even therefore amunja for kutashani to sort out agriculture. So therefore, for these 3 years, you pay more tax for us to support what? The agriculture. Abantu andinga baikuta. Then naimo tukesa mitontonkanya, tukamitontonkanya kwate. Okay, naimo nomba mtambo kulipira koka kanono. So if it is in my powers, the first thing that I would do, instead of giving concessions to the mines, I would say, apanomba, we are in problems. What we need is you to help us. You, the mining sector, you have got money. Kakongola nindala makumie nuko kuisoko. But abaratu wafasana. Ewo tukapela ama mines. That is what I'm going to do. Even when I become president, I will say, if you want to invest in Zambia, first help us. If you don't help us, forget it. We will not look at you. Now, if we are giving, those who are already rich, those are the ones we are giving.
You know about the whole agreement that we've entered into with Kenya, where farmers from Kenya will come into land about 20,000 hectares.
Yes.
Here, and of course it's to strengthen our bilateral relations, and of course Zambia is going to benefit. Well, that's according to the president, according to the government. That's what's going to. That is what is ideally going to happen. What are your comments on that?
It's a very practical situation, okay, which happens even on a personal level. Mwalikwa tempangoko, mwalikwa tempanga pa farm ba ushibeni walifwa bakshira farm, like bamoba mu abantu anikane abato kwata bana banshiwa bakalamba bati bachiri bana banshiwa bali bashira ba ushwa bo babashira efyuma like land babashira 10 hectares of land tabalelima. What do they usually do? They say since paleli bafechani kabieni mule limapo, but what is the best ideal? Mwana wa mano fisha filo kuchita mwana wa mano kulima, afila lima erwambo kula chitashani ukula shitisha no mbaba lyabana efipuba balyabana efipuba tabakushawino abashakula wino bawishwa bashire mpanga benefo bakita kutashani kusekesha. They give people at your muledi mapokaidine ero aikala na alife pa Facebook chako ashira abantu bambi baledima. This is the situation that we have, because according to our leteka wena they have seen land 20 hectares of land, 20,000 hectares of land. Tapadi village stick abakweta mano vaisa iwe tetutupele kwempanga tulimekwa ati yo akulime. But ngabana ba mano, if it's tabana ba mano, what they will do is to make use of that land, produce and be able to sell to.
So would you say the onus in that regard is to the government or the people of Zambia, those who want to play a big role in the agriculture?
Unfortunately, my dear sister, what happens is that when you go to vote, when you go to vote, you relegate that that right that you have on your country to those people who are in power. They make decisions for you. They are making decisions right now. They are making decisions for you and I. They are the ones who have done this. So they get all of us, encourage us. Guys, we have land here. We are going to help you. Can you cultivate this land? Can you produce so that we can sell to Kenya and other countries? That is what they are supposed to do. But because vana abashafundwa wino balya efo bali nomba bena tiyo akuli menipo. So it is very wrong. What we are supposed to do, this government would have come up with a farming scheme. There are a lot of young people, street kids and whatever. There are these people that applied, We can come up with a policy as a government to say, soldier, before taula tampa training ya soldier 1 year, kuya mkulima. We would, because the younger valima, we will get something. They will be proud and they will get everything and so on and so forth, because we would have money. So it is poor policy. No, they don't know what they are going to do. Tabakwata vision, because Ngawalikwata vision, I'm telling you some of these problems that we are having, we are not supposed to be having them. It is sad that our land is being given to other people to come out to get when we can cultivate that land and be able to produce something.
Mr. President, we're just going to hold on for a while as we break off for the news headlines, but it's getting more interesting, and there's a lot more questions, and soon we'll also be engaging the listeners to ask their questions regarding certain national matters. So we just break off for a while, but you can start sending your text messages on 0977 703 152. That's 0977 703 152. This is the bottom line, and we have Mr. President, Mr.
Chilufya Tayali, the married man.
Yes, President of the Economic and Equity Party. So we'll be right back. Thank you for joining us for the news headlines on One Love Radio at 12 hours. To present them, my name is Tumani Daka. The opposition leadership movement president, Dr. Richard Silumbe, has advised the government to invest in production to address the skyrocketing prices of millimel in the country. The leader of the opposition in parliament, Brian Mundubile, says it is sad that the UPND administration has not brought any investors into the country since taking over power. And in international headlines, China said it was stimulating scaling of Taiwan in a third day of drills as it appeared to use an aircraft carrier to launch jets towards the island. Join us for the afternoon news at 13 hours. Stay blessed. In case you're tuning in only now, this is the bottom line on One Love Radio. I am your host, Tumani Daka, and of course I am live in studio with the Economic and Equity Party President, Mr. Chilufya Tayali, who goes by the married man.
Yes.
Very, very interesting.
Families comes first.
Family comes first, for sure. So, my good sir, tuaekata po padi agriculture sana, we've gone into the mining sector, different issues of our economy.
Yes.
The social aspect of our country. You took to protest.
Yes.
At the American embassy, so to say. And you allege that the US democracy has brought more harm to third world countries than good.
Yes.
Can you elaborate more on that?
Yes, it's basically what we have been talking about. Firstly, you know, America is like in the movies. You know, America, they have indoctrinated us without us realizing. You see, most of the movies that you watch, they're American. And most of the times you have seen that the main actors are Americans, you know, and they're always conquerors. They win and whatever. So we have this you know, victorious mind about the Americans. Everything coming from America is great. But if you really sit back and say, what has America done for us? Especially if you look at us as Zambia particularly. If you ask yourself, what has really America done for us as a country that we should be celebrating Americans? We should be, eulogizing them, making them like heroes. They are heroes for what? They are heroes for poverty. If you look at the history, America have supported the apartheid in South Africa. America was part of the people that were taking slaves from Africa. And yet, we so much talk about America, but from my point of view, they have done more harm than good. We can talk about many bad things that they have done, in Africa, than the good things. They come to impose. They talk about democracy. They tell you, no, we want to perfect democracy. Like this one, Vakamara Harris, Vaishde Kuno, Ukwebati, what's the strengthen democracy? But do we need Americans to strengthen our democracy? No. Americans, they tell you what to do. Unless you agree with America, you are not their friend. You are not democratic. And we have seen it happen in other countries. We have seen it the way they messed up Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is in a mess today because of these Western countries. Look at what they did in Libya. They killed Gaddafi. And in Libya now, Libya was doing well. Libya was supporting other African countries, during the time of Muammar Gaddafi. But Americans and the Britain came and told us that Gaddafi is a bad man and so on and so forth. What have they left of Libya? If you go into the Middle East, even now as we are talking, they are killing a lot of people in the Middle East in the name of, no, they are fundamentalists. Look at the way what they did to Saddam Hussein. So as far as I'm concerned, I don't see anything positive in as far as self-rule is concerned coming from America, because Americans, they make us puppets. And if you don't agree with them, they actually penalize you. They punish you for not agreeing with them. That is not democracy.
So because you still stand by the views you had even before the coming of the U.S. Vice President, Ms. Harris. So my question now would be, from what you wanted to be the outcome of your protest, and what was the actual outcome?
Yeah.
Was it effective?
It's a victory. Whoa! We sent Kamala Harris packing. We sent Kamala Harris packing. She couldn't exercise her American powers here. We showed her that we are Zambians and we can stand on our own. Kamala Harris came for two agendas, my sister. Two agendas. One was this agenda of democracy, but trying to get our economy. That is the first thing. That is the first thing. That is the first thing. It is about our economy. It is about bringing, Americans to come and extract our resources. Unfortunately, we put a block to that. And one of the clear issue that I'm talking about is, you see that AFRICOM nonsense that this government has brought. That AFRICOM is nothing but, coming to America, putting itself strategically to get the resources from Africa. But Kamala Harris could not go anywhere near that. She couldn't touch that area. She couldn't, because we resisted it. Did she talk about democracy? You review her statement, a short statement at State House. She couldn't talk about it because we protested. We said, we don't want you to lecture us on democracy. We don't want you to lecture us on democracy. And she knew that Zambians have spoken. They heard. She couldn't. The second thing, whether you like it or not, it is the LGBTQ issues. LGBT, if you are gay, if you are homosexual. This was part of the agenda. It was even on the agenda of summit here. It was there. And it was even part of there was even a resolution. The Zambian government, Kunsoni, we are not going to be part of it. But they knew, because that agenda did not come when the summit started. There must have been a committee that sat to agree. These are things that we're going to discuss, with a view of making a resolution. So that resolution did not fly in there, because Zambian government, they have distanced themselves. But they have distanced themselves. They knew that this was going to be there. So this was part of it. But did Kamala Harris touch it? Ukutinisha kumona waka in the Ichilema, he couldn't touch human rights. Human beings. But the issue was about, that human rights. And when we talk about human rights, kuma Americans, ni LGBTQ, but again our homosexual, human rights. That is what they are preaching all over the world. But they came to Zambia, powerful as they were. But we stopped Kamala Harris, the vice president of United States of America. We made her not to talk about LGBTQ. So Zambians should be celebrating. We resisted American pressure. So my protest and other people talking, they shouldn't think that it was in vain. No. We won. We won against America. We won against the neo-colonization of America on our land. And Charlie Baker Tenson yaba mubuteko. Charlie Baker Tenson. Because even Bamdara in the Ichirema can't say much about it. Because we defeated them. That trip was nothing. We achieved nothing. Karaka 16 million and Caspian, by the way, because people talk about that 16 million as if it Ali Shakamara Harris. I in a PPP, I'm a partnership, whatever. 16 million. But yes, but if we had not resisted that, we would have had more pronunciations in that sector. But because we resisted it, you can access this 16 million. It's not even there. That trip was useless. But don't think that Kamala Harris, America, Americans, Zambia, well, that's where we are going. It takes a lot. There is planning, there is what. But as they were coming, when they reached here, when they landed, before they could even land, they heard Tayali was at the embassy protesting to say, we don't come and lecture us about your democracy. We don't want your democracy. She heard. And people might say, no, Tayali, Ndala American embassy muja. Bali fuma pamuru pada baishe bale utauka. Bale pemashika no kupemashika. And I told them, we don't want American democracy. And Kamala Harris could not teach us about democracy. In parliament also, I must also congratulate the parliamentarians. They did very well, to put pressure. Bamaewana Rumango. Friday before summit in India, she couldn't even go there because there was pressure. So there was pressure everywhere. Mu parliament mwali pressure. Kuma radio station kwali pressure. Mumise mwali pressure. Ku embassy kuine tayari okwali. Tuwali balanga ma Americans.
Mr. Tayali. I think at this point you can tap up pocket my phone calls. Because in fact, na tambo wifakali.
Yes.
So number marat tum na pomkwai is 0977-703-152. That is 0977-703-152. Nedem let's to me nama text. Please include your name and where you're texting from so that's Tuishivane and the like. And also when you call, you have exactly 1 minute to give your contribution or your question. So a text message here says, afternoon, Mr. Tayali. What is your take on teachers who have not yet been put on payroll despite working for over 10 months now? And then the second text message that has come is, okay, we're about to get that one. Mr. President, Ubunga ni 230 kwacha kuno kumtendere East End. End of the year, we will buy Ubunga na 300. And above all, wake up Zambia. This is Walia in Tendere East. Yeah. So what is your take, my good sir, on teachers who have not been put on payroll even after working for that many months?
Mamona, if you think you don't get I'll keep repeating this because sometimes people think that, no, I just don't like this government. No, I want this government to succeed. And frankly speaking, I helped Waka in the Ichirema today not receive a message, to vote Waka in the Ichirema. Number one, I had a job, now I don't have a job. I would want them to succeed because the success of this government is a benefit to the people. I'm talking now, it is because the people are suffering. That's why I'm talking. So, who would take home? Before we even talk about those who have been employed, 11,000. They promised people, how I'll come and put you back. You will get back your jobs. But teacher, I'm a civil servants. Na panondelanda. Na vekala wamo, they can't even afford to buy power because bale chula. Now, Edgar Lungu, Pangira School, he made a lot of schools. Nama health post. Awawa isa, na tungisha teachers. Kaidi wamo nama school. But without considering, their pocket as a government, do they have the money to pay these people? They don't have. Because when I am patinda na mashiroka fe mubuteko kwatinga na balala babu kori chelo wasanga vatama treasury na isura nindana. So now they have a challenge. The challenge that they have is that they don't have money. Bali pela kobamo, but vamo, they are still not on payroll. But look, much as I understand, because somebody will say, no, we will put them on the payroll, government doesn't have money. The situation is, inendandila bantu. Ushauria teacher, mwatu kumushi, or wherever you have posted that person. How do you think that person is surviving? Our education minister, I'm sure because that's why in that in there by One Love Radio. Nachishwa tingana landa na lafi sanga filendore la pageta tiyota wate program. But ninji show up wale imwe basi ya kalima. How do you feel? Apaso ini lancha mwala mkuliyama bwenge kunganda kumienu katushinga nikuo teo mwalaya. But do you think of that teacher who is in the rural area? Who is wherever you have posted that person? Some of these young people got excited. Inana isange nchito. Nkongwesheni konshite toroshi. Nkongwesheni konshite akali dresi. So that in tampe nchito. And some of these people, they haven't even paid. Abankongole wale wakonka. So what you have done, you have created more suffering on these people than before, because you want to go and borrow. Walaka panga ndapala fyashi wodo. No baba kupele nchito. Elo baba kutwalo kunombe. Elo wambo kula ikala. Tapade for lechita. So it is more stressful for the people that are working there. I sympathize with them. And this government, ngamwalikwa temitima, ngamulibantu, mula kuchechi, mula pepa, and you are enjoying taxpayers' money. Think about those people. Ngamwalikwa tama sacrifices. Wewa tuwaka inde ichine matawafora. Indala matawafora shia kuisa. Shia shonzesho tawafora waka inde ichine makanshi. Wapena ma teachers. Fole shenya awaiche vale chula. Imwa muledia, imwa mule mfwa wino. Mule ikala wino. Na papa tandelo mbelako ama teachers. Na wambia wotamula fole sha. Mwalibabika mubu chushi. You have put them into serious suffering. You are making them work like slaves. Na papa consider them, pay them. Otherwise, mwakula sakamino ne mikoshisha ne mikusushabwadi. Mwakula pona one kwati fi purulu. With these people that you are suffering. Mkalata uledi nkoko ya chaku kola pamkoshi wapo na wafwa. Because you are making people suffer. Think about these people that you are making suffer.
We have another text message. It says, good afternoon, Mr. Tayali. I want you to tell the government to go and get maize from FRA and tell them to start supplying mealie meal in our nation. Start supplying mealie meal in our nation. This is Alan Chilufya from Chalala.
Alan, badishtisha ku FRA uko badishtisha. Batampira kushisha ku Kenya. Na nomba lina babadishtisha. If you go to the borders, you will find the trucks. Abe ne bale pangendala ama guys mwasa dide. Hey. Ni parete yawe ni panosha randefingi na atiku kuweni tabako lokota kuifupa. But abantu mwasa ligava. Katuishi mwalavi kapofumwe beno fumwala vita. Because they are the ones who are actually selling this maize. They are the ones who are exporting. Kuli awa kuluwa kulu. Na wairika muli fionse. Abantu wafta. Na wengila muli fionse. Muma maini na wengila mu. Bale pangeni pia. Muma taba na wengila mu. Muli fertilizer na wengila mu. Mumalaiti, emo baba. Tapalioko bashire, balefo kupanga endalama. Evo afie. Tabasaka mene 2026. Mamule bati yo, 2026 tukabafumi hapo. Tabasaka mene because vale pangolu pia. Ayamataba, kwefa Alan and my brother. They have taken that maize, they have sowed.
Wow, a lot that Mr. Tayali is unpacking. The number is 0977-336, I beg your pardon, 0977-703-152. A number mwala tumina pomkwai. Chiramanga kwati kulibambia wale filo kututumina via phone call. So what you can do is send a text message and we'll be sure to read it. That is 0977-703-152. That is 0977-703-152. Okay, we get our first call. Hello, good morning. Oh, good afternoon, rather. Fine, thank you. Your name and where you're calling us from? Yes, but Mike, under 1 minute, your question or contribution for Mr. Tayali. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. Your response to that, Mr. President.
You know, there is this tendency of wanting to blame the previous government. My brother, you the caller, you are saying, what was the previous government doing? What did they do? I don't even need to discuss the previous government. That's why you removed them. You removed them because you thought that they were not doing anything. But pamene vanasiyira paja, even if they were not doing good, but pamene vanasiyira paja, ni pamene vidiri ovaipira tu. That is the issue. Pamene vanasiyira paja, mtuenzo kambati ba mdala wanga va eche, mtuenzo kambati unga wadula tibutika. Unga wenze pali 130. Wewe vabwelapo manje unga wafika pali average 200. Ndiye kukonza kwa bwanji. Can you start blaming ba PF? Yeah, ba PF banausi ya pali 130. Awa wewe wakulisa pali 200. Na 230, 2 chakuti. Ni kamba 200 ni average.
Okay. Wow. Mr. President, we'll be ending our program in about 10 minutes or so. But one area of concern I'd love us to look at is the the judicial system.
Yes.
There was another prosecute,
yes, whatever.
Yes, of course, regarding Mumbipiri over the murder of the issue of the murder of Lawrence.
Yes,
and then of course Chilufya was given a sentence of 25 years.
Yes,
as a verdict that he appealed against.
Yes.
Yes. So now, following that whole scenario, what would be your take? Because the government says that the judicial system is independent of the government's control, so to say. But what would be your take on it? Is it free and fair justice that is upheld in our country?
Unfortunately, many things are deteriorating in our country. If you thought PF was bad, because some of us, the good thing is that some of us nakuli PF to aleva showa if tafirenda win nomba apa nafichiramo. So we had issues, yes, even in our PF, but now nafichiramo. And the Mumbipiri case is one big example of how justice is not being dispensed. Why do I say this? The first thing is that, look, we all know from the word go that Mumbipiri was not guilty of this or was not anywhere near this. Why do we say that? Because look, during the time of a fracas, political violence. So there is no way we gave at Mumbipiri now whoever shot by getting futi pamowa shooter. It's not possible. But Bamumbipiri was taken in because of the political vindication. This is why Bamumbipiri was there. Throughout the trial, Bamumbipiri was not brought in anywhere. I will not talk about Shabi because, again, even there, when you look at the evidence, it's something, but I'm not going to talk about it because it has been appealed. So we'll take it, it's still in court. But we are not stupid, nonetheless. When we are hearing evidence, we can also make some kind of conclusions. And now, at the end of the day, their judgment, that is when the court but no, we are entering a knowledge. A knowledge simply means we don't think we have sufficient evidence to continue. That's what a knowledge means. We don't think we have got sufficient evidence for whatever reasons. But now, how can the government come and say we don't think we have sufficient evidence on the day of judgment? What does that mean? It simply means they know that they didn't tender any evidence against this person. But then why did they have to wait until the day of judgment? And then they knew that this person is going to be acquitted. And instead of just letting the person being acquitted, they threw in a knowledge.
And what is the difference there? Because somebody might think, oh, she's been left.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
very good question. What's the difference? Apande okobati, she should have been acquitted. Acquitted if yakobati court yakusanga taukweta omulandu uyu mulandu bakoletere kuno au taukweta omulandu nakalya uli wakaene kabiye elo lidanga waya most of the times abantu balakita subuteko because nishubuteko bwakutwele kuchirye ukwabuno omulandu. They took you there without evidence. You can sue them. Now knowledge prosecute nifefe ko bati bakwikata but lida bale kutwala ku court basanga evidence tairi wino sana nangulimbi bakubebe chefye kola bali mu muntu akusonda ati ni uyu olo basanga timbite iwe nomali omuntu asanga pishati iwe usheni nitali wa mwene ata but ndempalanya fye but naye nalifwala ma glasses nga fish fimbi ata nshishibe but ushali kwate miemfu ata nshishibe bamona tida evidence tairi shani tairi bwino ba court balachita enter knowledge so that bafwailikishe they can investigate further. Maybe bala for umuntu umbi wakobati such positively identify. So knowledge ni akwati evidence tairi sure. So bala bawufumye omulandu mu court and then they continue investigating. As they finish investigating, they can rearrest you and bring you back to court. Now bamumbipiri ba court ba related ba state ba related ama evidence yabo yonse because that case went through the full trial, meaning it was they presented their side, the state, and there was also defense. And after fiance fiapua elo ba say what awe turemona kwat evidence tairi bwino sana. Which evidence?
We've got some calls, persistent people, so maybe we'll pick one or two. Hello, good afternoon. Good afternoon, sir. Your name and where you're calling us from? Yes, Mr. Raymond, and 1 minute, your question or contribution. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We're going to, yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Raymond.
I appreciate his sentiment, though I don't appreciate his second part where he's saying he's directing me what I should think. No. I have given my position. For him, he thinks that the pews, Valele Tama American Kuno, they are helping us. I don't. I'm telling you. First of all, even this HIV nonsense that you talk about, where did it even come from? Where did it even come from? How come HIV nonsense is more pronounced in Africa than in America? How come? Are you telling me in America they are more moral upright than us? If tutamba fish tutamba abasungu benata bafikosha wasanga tina naba upanafye badisumilishanya action at open marriage. Open marriage, they are even this, their morality, let me not judge them, but frankly speaking, from my point of view, this I'm not interested in this issue of HIV, because I strongly believe that if you think to after that they are helping us. No, I refuse. If America wants to help us, can now ikuta. Techuli uliomu titawakokota waja waikuta.
No bakti baada shanga na barwala.
Ufankashia. Ngoleli ya wino. No tutuma wele tonso tu. Tulafuma mu. HIV ni insala. Badi dandire ba mdala wandiba ntwanikale. I think niba miyande balandi. HIV ni insala. Umuntu ngaleli ya wino bengi sana bafinondo ulampopo ati HIV kuli bafinondo awa mambala abe mpare babe ababe ne bali mubuteko abanga wabamona bonse pe bali munika vye wino nabena nabalelu wala bonse nabombo kumoneka wino ni nsala HIV abantu ngabaleikala wino nefya HIV that is they are not necessary. So for me, my brother, that paper that you are talking about, I'm a pills. Therefore, I'm a pills. What I want proper investment. Like I'm a Chinese. What I could what helps us to go to the market. It helps us. I mean, how can we survive? So for me, I want proper investment. Don't talk about paper. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not interested in American help if I'm abused, because I'm abused. But I want to they don't need them.
We've got a lot of text messages. I'll just read them out and then we conclude, because these are never ending national issues. This one is saying, but Presido, what is your comment on money being abused in the name of CDF? I just need to check the name of the person. This is Mr. Designer from Mongo. Then Dan from Mongo is also asking, what will the price of minimum be when you become president? And finally, now, okay, who's this? Nalolo D is asking, Nankala kopa mupando, wise mnachite ivo, vamene mukambako.
Nikalipo nkalapo, nzankalapo, embekeza, uzaona, ela chizali na mzambi. Woze mumzako ndwela. But then winango yaka, but how much is the bag of minimum going to be? I mean, nchifo huku sata, ante president tu sata kwa tinibalabale satati yo, inengana nisa pobunga kwa 50 kwacha, elo babutola pali 200 kwacha. So I'm a realist. You need to work hard, and then, you manage the economy. Because look, the problem is not so much the price. The problem is about accessibility to money. In Europe, for example, things are very expensive, very, very expensive. Rentals and food, they're expensive. But people have money. So it is not a big issue. Tababi then sala yo. And kula abatutu who even come and say, you people are complaining that the cost of living is high. In this country, the unga is so much. No. It's about the accessibility, that are the opportunities to make money. That is what matters. So it could be 1,000, like in Congo. Congo, for example, unga is expensive, but Congolese don't cry, no, because they have money, So that is the issue. But now, the first question, what is the first?
What is your comment on money being?
Yes, CDF. Yes, CDF is one of the celebrated or propaganda issue of UPND. No, we have increased the CDF. We have increased the CDF, but how many people are able to see that CDF? How many people are able to see that CDF? CDF, kafunda kankama. Kafunda kankama, I don't know how I can put it. Yakufishirisha. Not all MPs in Zambia have received that CDF. A lot of people last year, they came up with projects here, CDF, but they never saw the money. It is just a few, but a number of MPs have not received CDF. And MPs, I'm talking about the people that they represent, they have not received CDF. Today, we are still talking about CDF year 2022. But CDF year 2023, we have not even started talking about it. And yet, CDF, to sponsor the vulnerables, to take children, some of the children to school, to consider
we have the free education policy.
Forget about the free education policy. Free education within Nsala. Free education within Nsala. Umwana takasambirire bwino ngalekera mu class n'abatitikana kwati masaka ya Chilemba. Teacher sambirire bwino yo. Teacher sambirire. So it's forget about that free education. You need to look at the quality. Education dayaba kwati kuya mkusambe nsambi paka mana. You just dip yourself in there. Poo. As long as amenshi kwati rubatisho. The way we do baptism, you just dip yourself there, you come out, you have a degree. You need to learn. And those children are not learning at all. So CDF, it's a hoax. It is a propaganda machinery to say, who take over, but there is no money. Like I'm saying, first quarter na where is the money? Where is the CDF? There is no money. So what are they boasting about? Free education in and our naveng develop school. Tumoture ponakalenda kwa school kapo na mulandu wansara. What is there to boast about?
The lot that President of the Economic and Equity Party has impact, and of course that is Mr. Chilufya Tayali. The President titwa beyond the time because the news if we don't miss it 13 hours. But I know that there is more questions that would want answered by you, especially in opposition, considering that we are definitely in a democracy. But thank you for coming through.
Please finish.
Yes, and we are hoping to have another lengthy conversation to unpack more of the things that we have not touched in today's conversation.
I'm always available. That's why I'm not in touch and go. You just touch me, I'm here.
Okay. And we have that on record, Mr. President.
And it happened. It happened.
Yeah.
I mean, some people are even shocked to say, how come you're supposed to be in Ethiopia? But it's because I committed to this program. And I made sure that, yes, I'm enjoying my family and whatever, but I had to make sure I'm on this program. Yeah. Because that is what we stand for. If we fanga to alande chintu, ni chochine not awa but valande chintu vambo kuyoko. Elo vambo kuleta defend yet yo ni bali aba hiko akale. Chitefe wala ila abantu. Natotela sana.
Thank you. This has been the bottom line, and